What's going on, everybody? And welcome once again to The Flex, brought to you by Gym Bag Entertainment. And this is the show about fantasy football for my men who like fantasy football out there. I should say men's and ladies. My bad. Didn't mean to discriminate. Anyway, moving on. As always, we like to start the show with the top scorers in my fantasy leagues. And this week, I'm only going to give you two of them. So in my main league, the CFL, once again, I think there's only been 2 weeks he hasn't been the leading scorer this whole season. But Pennywise coming up on top, going up against Beantown Bananas. And this one, I actually feel real bad for Beantown Bananas in this one. Beantown Bananas is our resident last place player. This year, not so. He's up in the ranks. But he takes a terrible hit this week, and Pennywise beats him 189.44 to 180.08. So, he loses by a good 9 points, 10 points, and that's a terrible loss for him. It was really looking good for him at one point. He was projected to win, and then all that went away. It seems like Pennywise's team is almost unbeatable until he faced your boy and went down, took his only L of the season. So, sorry Beantown Bananas, but you just didn't do enough this week. Better luck next week. Get back in the win column. And then for my team, not the leading scorer, but I did get to take home a victory. Red Solo Cup takes on the last place team, Uncle Rico's Boys, and I take the victory 137.24 to 109.36. And when I tell you, this sounds like, I just beat him outright, but this was actually a nail biter. I was out one of my best wide receivers this week. I didn't have... who did not? You know what? I wasn't out. I was out running backs. David Johnson was hurt, and I had to go with Ty Johnson, which was a mistake. I told people to pick up Ty Johnson last week. Thought that because he was going to be the lead back, that maybe he was going to get some touches and get the yards in. That did not happen. I definitely dropped him. It doesn't seem like he's got it in him to get you into the double digits. He might break out here and there throughout the season, the remainder of the season, that is. But I don't really trust him to hold him onto my roster. But then we were pretty much neck and neck. We were both in the 90s. I had Mason Rudolph and James Conner. He had Vance McDonald, and it was looking rough. I mean, Mason Rudolph throws two interceptions. He fumbles the ball. It was just looking like a really ugly game. Miami was just coming in strong, playing hot. And I was like, man, I might actually lose this game. But then the second half comes around. James Conner, Mason Rudolph, they turn it around, and they start trotting down in the winning direction. Mason Rudolph threw a touchdown pass to Deontay Johnson. James Conner runs in for a touchdown, and I believe he also threw a touchdown. Was it to Juju or I don't know. I know he threw 2 touchdowns. But so I ended up taking home the victory. Felt really good. But on the flip side of that, your boy did take a very sad loss this week as well. In my other league, the Elite League, I take on Mo TDs for me. And my team, Live Today, Die Kamara, was, I didn't have Alvin Kamara in my lineup. Running backs were looking a little, I had Devontae Freeman, he did well. I had somebody else who did well. Joe Mixon did well. My whole team just performed. I put up 182.94 points. That's a winning week right there. If you put up 180 points, you pretty much guaranteed yourself a victory. But when you play Mo TDs for me, that is not enough points. Mo TDs for me, I want to give a shout out to Julian. Mo TDs for me for having the most outstanding team fantasy football might have ever seen. I mean, homeboy had Adam Thielen out on injury, but still managed to put up the big numbers. Every single player on his team performed. And he put up 234.78 points on your boy. Mo TDs for me is averaging over 200 points a week. Over 200 points a week. I only outscored him 1 week when I put up 197 points, and he put up 194 points, I think. This dude's team is on fire. Like, it's almost like a guaranteed loss. There was a point where I was projected to beat this dude. It was like I had him. You know what I'm saying? I thought I made a mistake. I put in Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston ends with a 28 piece. Julio Jones ends in like a 20, like high 20, low 30 piece. Sold in 28 points for D-Hop. And then my tight end, oh man, I think that was the play. That was the one spot. Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry last week, 30 points. This week, I think he put up like 8 to 10 points. And then I had T.Y. Hilton in my flex, and T.Y. Hilton just pooped the bet on me. But even if I had put better players in those positions that were on my bench, I didn't have a better tight end, but I did have a better player to put in over T.Y. Hilton. Even if I had done that, still would have got my butt handed to me by at minimum, 35 points. So it's a bad hit. Wasn't enjoying it. Couple little ad drops for you. Kenyon Drake goes to Arizona. David Johnson out. Chris Edwards out. Kenyon Drake in. Now, this is what I'll say to you. You got a lot of bye weeks this week. So let me go over your bye weeks. Los Angeles Rams on a bye week. No Todd Gurley. Cincinnati's on a bye week. No Joe Mixon. New Orleans on a bye week. No Kamara. Atlanta on a bye week. No Devontae Freeman. And Baltimore on a bye week. No Mark Ingram. So some people might have 2 of those running backs, maybe even 3. I have 3 of them. I got Joe Mixon, Devontae Freeman, and I have Alvin Kamara, all on one team. And on another team, I have Gurley, and I traded away Mark Ingram earlier in the season. I told you about that awesome trade. So in that case, if you can grab Kenyon Drake and you need to plug him in, by all means, you ain't got no choice. You got to plug him in. I think this week I'm playing Ronald Jones and some other bum. I don't even know who the bum is, but I know that my 2 running backs are not looking I think it's Melvin Gordon. My bad. Melvin Gordon and Ronald Jones are my 2 running backs. It is not pretty. Not pretty at all. So it is what it is. You gotta make do with what you have. So if you are lacking in the running back position and he's either on the waiver wire or you can kind of sneak through a nice little trade and get Kenyon Drake, I say go ahead and try it. What's the worst that can happen? If you don't have a running back, he's at least the starter. Patriots drop Mike Nugent. So if you've picked up Mike Nugent, it's time to drop him. And if you wanted to just kind of go with another Patriots kicker, they did sign Nick Folk. When it comes to kickers, it's not like they need to learn the playbook. Kick the ball through the uprises. That's it. Be all, end all. And this dude is a veteran kicker. They signed him. I kind of like him. He's played for some teams. He's done well in the past. So I say plug him in and see how it goes. Then Mark Walton. Mark Walton is the rookie running back in Miami. Kenyon Drake is gone. Balaj is not doing much of anything. So Walton takes over that position. Now, he was there. He got the starting job in Pittsburgh on Monday night, and he didn't get to do much with it. Pittsburgh's front 4 are very tough. So, maybe it's not his fault. Maybe he gets more touches, he'll get more points. But once again, if you're lacking in the running back position, this is a guy you can throw into your lineup. Chris Conley, wide receiver, Jacksonville Jaguars, he's coming into his own. 3rd-year wide receiver out of Arizona. Traded to Jacksonville in the preseason. And this kid is a good wide receiver. Hasn't really had a chance to shine, but he's had a few flashes of light throughout the season. I think he's done enough that he should be taken up off the waiver wire. If you have a slot available, I suggest nabbing him up. And if you need to throw him in, I would suggest giving him a try. He does have a favorable matchup because they are going up against Houston. And, Houston's defense isn't necessarily the best. Plus, if they fall behind, they're going to be just throwing the ball. Chris Conley could end up being a benefactor of that. He did score a touchdown this past week, so look to run with him. Josh Allen, Josh Allen has been looking good. He put up a 20-piece this past week. Buffalo does have a nice little matchup. I believe they are going up against, where is Buffalo? Why don't I have Buffalo written down? Maybe Buffalo on a bye week? Buffalo on a bye week? I don't know. Gonna have to look back into that. But I would say have Josh Allen on your bench, whether he's on a bye week or not, so that you can plug him in if and when necessary. What else do we have here for you? Joey Sly, kicker for Carolina. Once again, playing pretty well. If you have your kickers, there's a lot of kickers going to be on a bye week this week. Matt Bryant just got cut, so if you had him, or if you had Mike Nugent, once again, another kicker that you can slap in there. And Andy Dalton has been benched. So no more Andy Dalton. In comes the rookie, Ryan Finley. Ryan Finley did very well in the preseason. I had almost thought he might have stole the job from Andy Dalton, but they wanted to see what they can do for half a season. They gave Andy Dalton half a season to show that he was worthy, and they did not win a single game, and he loses his job, and it is about time. Oh, Buffalo's going up against Washington, so I do like Josh Allen in that game. And then finally, Deshaun Jackson, he's very close to return. I don't know if he plays this week, but you can grab him now, put him in your IR, hold him on your bench. When he comes back next week, hopefully he's 100%, and he can bark down the field for you and get you touchdowns. So that's another guy that you can grab and hold on to your bench just in case you need him. All right, now we got to talk about who was supposed to start, who was supposed to sit. All right, San Fran's going up against Arizona. So you heard what I said. Kenyon Drake's getting the starting position. If you're desperate for a running back, you can put him in. But know that you temper your expectations because San Fran's defense is the second best in the NFL right now, second only to the most amazing defense ever assembled in the New England Patriots. This is going to be a tough matchup for Kyler Murray. It's going to be a tough matchup for Larry Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk. The entire Arizona as a whole is in for a tough week. So with that being said, Jimmy Garoppolo is a must-go. Emmanuel Sanders, a must-go. I don't know if Tevin Coleman is the starting running back. You got to roll with him. Brader did get hurt, so if you got Mostert sitting on the waiver wire, you could pick him up and plug him in if you're desperate for a running back because they never run just one. So Mostert could get some touches. He's definitely a goal line vulture. So you can run a gamble if you got a favorable matchup this week or if you're just hurting in the running back position. Houston going up against Jacksonville. I really like this matchup. Oh, by the way, obviously second best defense in the NFL. You play San Fran's defense. But Houston's going up against Jacksonville. I wouldn't play either one of these defenses, but I like both quarterbacks. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is the leading scorer in fantasy football right now. So you always want to play him every week. In Jacksonville, Gardner Minshew has been playing really well, and they just lost J.J. Watt on that Houston defensive line, giving Gardner Minshew a little bit more of an advantage when having time to throw the ball. So I like both of their quarterbacks. I just told you Chris Conley is worth picking up and worth playing if you're hurting in the wide receiver position. And then, as always, DJ Chark is 100% a play. He's the number one wide receiver there. D.D. Westbrook is a bum. You should be throwing him away by now if you haven't already. For Houston, you always got to play DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hops, all day. I took the risk last week. Even though I won the game, I played Kenny Stills, and Kenny Stills he pooped the bed for me. So I'm really not loving him right now. Kiki Kuti makes me nervous as well. But going up against Jacksonville, I have a feeling that we might get better production from Kenny Stills. So if you're desperate in the wide receiver position and you want to take one more gamble on Kenny Stills, this could be the week to do it. Redskins going up against Buffalo. This game makes me nervous for any player, but Josh Allen is going to be good. I wouldn't play a single player from the Redskins, not even McLaurin, just because of if you're desperate for wide receivers, McLaurin is always going to be a guy you want to plug in. But if you got someone else you can put in, Buffalo's defense has been tough. They're not the toughest defense in the NFL, but it kind of makes me nervous when you're playing a game like this, a team who just wants another win. They're going to play as hard as they possibly can, so look out for that. Singletary had a good game. He scored a touchdown. Going up against a weak team like this, you kind of expect that he's going to get it again. Last time I thought that against Miami, he didn't do it, so it kind of makes me nervous. But this is a desperate week for running backs, so if you got him, plug him in. And John Brown, I'll play John Brown all day. The Jets are going up against the Dolphins, a divisional matchup. These two teams are going to play each other real tough. With that being said, Miami Dolphins can't stop the run, so Le'Veon Bell is gonna have a handed day for him. Gonna definitely go over 20 points. Robbie Anderson was on the trading block. I think he's gonna want to show out this week, since the rumors were that he was gonna get traded and he didn't. I think he's gonna earn his job this week. So I kind of like him in that matchup. And if Chris Herndon comes back, I kind of like that as well. Sam Darnold looking real good. If Mason Rudolph can do it, so can Sam Darnold. The ghosts are fading away, or at least we hope so. He did have 2 or 3 interceptions this past week too, so yeah, what's going to happen? What else do we have here? The Vikings are going up against Kansas City. What a matchup. This is matchup of the week. But when it comes to fantasy, I don't know. Adam Thielen should be back, and if he's back, you got to play him. Stephon Diggs is on fire. Plug him in. And you all know, second best running back in the NFL, Dalvin Cook is a must start. And Kirk Cousins playing exceptionally well. Kansas City's defense, not so great. Let's go and let's roll with all those guys. With that being said, Minnesota's defense is doing really well. They're most likely your one and only defense, so go ahead and play them. But if you could pick up a defense like the Jets, what other defense would I recommend? Maybe even Indy's defense, or it's a tough one, man. I don't even know. There's a lot of I don't know. Detroit's defense maybe, but if you pick up the Jets defense, I might play him over Minnesota this week because I believe Patrick Mahomes might be back. Even if he's not, Matt Moore has been playing very well. I don't believe Kansas City can win this game. I think that the fact that the Vikings are whole this week gives them a strong advantage. But with that being said, Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill always going to be must starts for these guys, but that's probably where it's going to stop. Green Bay going up against the Chargers. Whatever you have going on in Green Bay, ready, set, go. Aaron Rodgers, Marquise Valdes-Scantling, Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, of course. And, I want to tell you to play Jimmy Graham, but Jimmy Graham hasn't been very exciting. I wouldn't play Jimmy Graham. Los Angeles Chargers, I almost don't want to tell you to play anybody. You probably got to play Melvin Gordon because of how many teams are on a bye week. So Melvin Gordon, go ahead and play him in. Even Austin Eckler. They got a two-headed monster right there. They're playing both of them, so you're gonna have to go with both of them. But after that, Keenan Allen, I think he's gonna have a tough matchup this week. They got strong defense in Green Bay, and Phillip Rivers has been playing like doo-doo. So if you got him, smoke him. If you got Keenan Allen, you probably got to play him. Next on the list is Chicago versus Philly, and I love this matchup. Two teams that need to win. Wins are a must. And you got a tough defense on Chicago. You got a strong offense in Philly. There was a lot of rumors that Philly was going to go after Robbie Anderson or Antonio Callaway, and, trade deadline closed and they didn't pick nobody up. Speaking of which, trade deadlines, most likely your trade deadline is around November 9th. So that thing's fast approaching. It's this week and then next week, and after that, you got no more trades. So if you've had any big moves in your mind, it's time to make them now. But Chicago versus Indy, I like Allen Robinson. You know what? Philly hasn't been great against the run. David Montgomery shined really big last week. So if you want to roll the dice in a week that running backs are scarce, go ahead and play him. With Philly, I don't know if I'd play either one. Miles Sanders had a great week. Jordan Howard's been looking okay. I don't think I'd play either one of those guys, but I will play Zach Ertz, I will play Carson Wentz, and I will play Alshon Jeffrey. Indy going up against Pittsburgh, another really good, exciting matchup. Indy's defense has been playing fairly decent. They had a tough matchup last week. I was pretty surprised. I thought they were going to blow out whoever they played, but they didn't. This is going to be a good matchup for both teams. T.Y. Hilton's going to look good. Juju will probably look good. Marlon Mack, I'd play him. And if James Conner's healthy, if not, you might want to look up and grab Jalen Samuels and stash him away just in case James Conner doesn't play, because right now he's day to day. Neither one of these defenses is worth playing. Neither one of these tight ends are worth playing in this particular matchup. Tennessee going up against Carolina. This is going to be the Christian McCaffrey show, as always. Kyle Allen, I think this might be a tough matchup for him. I think that Ryan Tannehill could have a pretty decent game. Corey Davis was lackluster this past week. I don't expect it to be much better, but I do think he can get you close to 10. A.J. Brown scored a touchdown. I think he can get you another one this week. Hopefully, Delaney Walker can come back in and give them that tight end that they need, but don't count on it. Derrick Henry, I think at this point he's a must-start with the way running backs are looking. Greg Olsen, I think this would be a good week to start him, but neither defense is looking pretty good. Detroit going up against Oakland. I don't know what to expect from this game, but it could be fireworks or it could be a dud. Marvin Jones and Kenny Golladay have been proving themselves week in and week out. Danny Amendola had a good week this past week. I don't expect that to repeat, so don't get too excited. TJ Hawkinson, I'm afraid to start that guy. So if I'm you, I might throw him on my bench and just say, you know what, I got another tight end. I'm going to go with him. If you don't, then do what you got to do. When it comes to Oakland, though, Waller is always going to be a start, as is Josh Jacobs. Tyrell Williams is back, and against this defense, if he's going up against Slay, it's going to be a tough matchup, and it's going to be a real tough night. So I don't really know what to expect. I don't really know if you want to put him in, and with him going up against Darius Slay, I'm going to say bench him. Tampa Bay going up against Seattle. I love this matchup. You know, Seattle just got a nice little safety, but Mike Evans and Chris Godwin have been playing really good ball. They've been finding ways to get open, and Jameis Winston has been finding ways to get him the ball. You know, Jameis Winston's making his mistakes, but then he's making up for it on the back end. I really like this matchup for them, so obviously Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are always going to be must-starts. In this matchup, I do like Ronald Jones. I picked him up, and I'm playing him mostly because I didn't have a choice, and he was the best one available, so it might just be a little bit of selfishness, me telling you he's going to do good, because I need him to do good. I give him a touchdown this week. Chris Carson, all the way. Go ahead and do it. DK Metcalf had a great game. Try to double up on that this week. If you're desperate for wide receivers, go ahead and grab him. And Tyler Lockett is going to be a star every week. He's been playing all-star football, doing exceptionally well. So go ahead and roll with it. New England versus Baltimore. So originally I would have told you that this was going to be a real tough matchup for both sides of the ball. But the way New England's been playing, Baltimore's defense is not as good as people try to make it out to be. It's really not. You know, at first you thought, last year it was like one of the best defenses, maybe the second best defense in the NFL. It's not even the top 5 this year. It's not even the top 5. Mohamed Sanu is going to have a full week of practice to learn plays. Julian Edelman is playing the best football we've ever seen from him. Sony Michel is running his ass off. James White is doing what James White does. This team's looking really good. And Philip Dorsett, what? Like, I feel like I could tell you to start all these guys, and you might lose out on one. And if I was going to venture to say who that would be, it would be James White. But all these guys are catching passes. Mohamed Sanu didn't have a great outing, but it was his first game. He didn't have a full week of practice. Now he's had over a week and a half. I'm really liking his odds against this team. I think the New England Patriots offensively are going to dominate. Now you flip that ball and you go to Baltimore. Yeah, Lamar Jackson's a beast, but he ain't going to be able to get that ball off. They're going to have to run all day. Oh, I said Baltimore's on a bye week, and I can't believe that we're playing Baltimore. So scratch what I said about Baltimore being on a bye week. Their run game is good, really good, and we struggle against the run, but we don't struggle against the pass. So I'm not worried about this game. I think that we're going to be able to run these dudes over. I'm predicting 24-10. Yeah, 24-10. I think this is going to be, I think we're going to house these guys. It's not going to be pretty. Baltimore should have made a move to grab a wide receiver. And then finally, we have Dallas versus the New York Giants. This is a divisional matchup. These teams are going to be playing tough. It's going to be the battle of the running backs. It's going to be all about the ground game. Zeke versus Saquon. Play him. Amari Cooper back. Play him. Golden Tate, play him. Evan Ingram, play him. I would even play Jason Witten in this particular game. Both quarterbacks are looking really good. Neither defense looks very tough. So I'd play all those guys and expect to get a high percentage value out of all of them. So with that being said, I've given you guys all you need to know. I hope that this helps you out in what you want to do this week for your team. And until next week, check out Gym Bag Entertainment on YouTube. And after that, have a good night.